Thank you, Mr. Berkey, for the rich insights. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall now commence the panel discussion on regional investments, thriving sectors, which will be moderated by Mr. Imran Nasrullah from the South Asia Business Group of Singapore Business Federation. May I invite Mr. Nasrullah to the head table? And I wish to also invite the speakers for part one of the panel discussion, Mr. Moazzam Malik, Chairman and CEO of BMA Capital Management Limited, and Mr. Salim Ghauri, CEO of NetSol Technologies Limited, to the head table.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum and Eid Mubarak to all our Muslim guests. We have the pleasure of the company of some eloquent speakers from Pakistan representing various industries. I'm going to chair the panel discussion. The way it works is the gentlemen here will give a brief update or a brief presentation on their own industries, and then we'll open it up to a little panel. So I'd like to just introduce Mr. Moazzam Malik of BMA Capital. Moazzam was flown in this morning, yesterday morning from Pakistan to talk about the investment opportunities, also from a side of what's happening in the banking world and what's happening on the investment climate. Mr. Salim Ghauri represents a phenomenal success story in the IT industry, homegrown in Pakistan, now gone global. So we'll hear more about what's happening on the IT scene and why there's reason for hope. I think I'll turn it over to Mr. Ghauri first, or actually Mr. Moazzam first, to talk about the investment climate.
Good afternoon, Excellency Ambassador of Pakistan, Mr. Javed Berkey, Mr. Yasin, Professor Tantayong, and Mr. Thakur. Pleasure to come over here and be talking to such an auspicious audience of Pakistanis and I think Indians and people from Singapore. I'd like to start with a little bit of a background on myself, so that it puts in context what I actually am going to, or about to say about Pakistan. I did my engineering as an undergraduate and finished my master's in management from MIT in the States in 1992. And decided to come back to Pakistan because at that time we'd been studying about Asian tigers, and Pakistan, it was hoped that Pakistan would also emerge into an Asian tiger, and I was excited about the fact that we could go back to our own country, and this is really the first time that I was coming back to Pakistan because I'd grown abroad most of my life. I came back and founded a company which you're seeing the presentation of, BMA Capital, and we've seen Pakistan go through ups and downs, and you know, I'd like to just come straight to the present, where I'm encouraged about what I see in Pakistan, and I'm seeing a upturn in what we saw from the days of floods in 2010, and I see a positive direction for the country. And I think what Mr. Javed Berkey has also commented on, there are ways in which we can improve and accelerate economic growth in Pakistan. What I'm really here to tell you about is a little bit about my own belief in investing in the country, and I think if we can garnish something from that, I'll be happy to kind of also discuss outside of this conference. I've just recently bought my company back from private equity investors that had invested in our company as of 2004. So in a sense, as an entrepreneur, I have tried to put my money where my mouth is, and I hope that it's going to give a positive dividend for myself and for our shareholders. Having said that, I'm noticing for the first time in Pakistan, before I go into the presentation, for the first time I'm noticing that people are actually, and when I say people, Pakistanis are investing in Pakistan in a manner that I had not seen before. I think recently there have been examples where, and I think Shahzada Dawood is going to talk about his conglomerate. They have just recently acquired HUBCO, which is a 1200 megawatt thermal power plant in Pakistan, and made a significant investment in the economic growth of the country. Just recently, there have been a lot of bank acquisitions by Pakistani banks buying out foreign banks. In addition, you've recently had a private sale of ICI. ICI had demerged itself, or rather ExxonMobil, between its paints division and its business in soda ash and chemicals. And that has also been acquired by a Pakistani firm by the name of Lucky Cement. And that's a significant investment and a vote of confidence in the industry in Pakistan, despite some of the negative news that we constantly hear about. So entrepreneurs are investing their money in the country, and quite honestly, the encouraging thing that one sees over here is that Pakistanis are doing that, and I'm hopeful that once that wave starts, foreign investment will also follow. What I've put together over here is a brief snapshot of investment opportunities, and we've selected 4 sectors. They are not all the sectors, but they are significant sectors in the economy in Pakistan, particularly the energy sector. They're the energy sector, agricultural and food sector, the mining sector, and the real estate sector. I think over the years, and what we are seeing is there is a shift taking place, particularly with the global population. 61% of the world population is in Asia. And we are seeing an economic shift. I think if one looks at what happened recently in the Olympics, sports is just one indicator of economic strength, I think. And you will see that 33% of the gold medals were won by Asia. It's up 16% since 1952, or 18% since 1952. There is a shift, and Goldman Sachs has mentioned Pakistan as one of the 11 countries to watch. And I think that you'll see that Pakistan will hopefully become one of the major economic hubs as we move along, similar to the BRICS countries. I think moving towards the overall opportunities, if we touch upon the energy sector, and to begin with, currently supply outstrips demand by about 5,000 megawatts per hour. And we're looking at demand by a population which is probably now about 60% below 25 years of age. And their demands and their wants are starting to convert into needs. This is encouraging, and I think that Pakistan government is also now promoting the 3 types of power generation, one primarily being coal, hydel, or other, this coal power, wind power, and hydel power. The overall policy pertaining to power is very conducive, in which you're allowed to take 80-20 equity stakes, and all of your profits can be dividended out back to the original sponsors. The policy framework is encouraging, it's tried and tested, the IPP policy is fairly well established. I think, just to tell you a little bit about HUBCO, for example, HUBCO's year-on-year profitability has gone up by 51%, profit after tax. So these are encouraging numbers, and this is, I'll tell you about industry, despite the fact that your power tariffs have gone up by 35%, your year-on-year earnings by companies in Pakistan have gone up by 25 to 27%. So that's the kind of return people are looking at who have invested in Pakistan. If you look at wind power as an example, and I think, I thought it might be useful to just draw some comparisons. If you look at the corridor, the wind corridor in Pakistan, Pakistan is designated as an excellent corridor for wind energy. Its speeds are 7.7 meters per second. If you look at some of the other countries which have similar wind speeds, and look at what they are actually generating from wind, that just goes to show you the potential that exists in wind power, for example. If you look at China, it's generating 12,000 megawatts from much lower wind speeds. Similarly, if you look at Denmark, it's generating 3,100 megawatts. Now, that shows you the potential that we have in Pakistan. Right now, we're not generating more than probably about 50 megawatts, and we've just started putting up wind power plants in Sindh. So there's a huge potential there. There's a potential just in Sindh of about 40,000 megawatts. And Pakistan, because of the ease of doing business in Pakistan, Pakistan is a country which lends itself comfortably to setting up these plants in Pakistan and supplying to the region, which is energy hungry. All of the investments that one makes in Pakistan are US dollar linked. So all of your investment is, all of the costs are passed through. And it's a fairly refined IPP policy, and you can basically remit all your profits back in US dollars. If you look at coal, there is a similar story. Again, Pakistan, enjoys. I mean, if you look at coal, for example, the proven reserves are 2 billion tons, and we still haven't utilized them. We have not developed coal power. Coal power in other countries has a very high mix. In the case of China, for example, there's the energy mix, the power mix is 81%. In the case of India, it's about 68%. So there is abundant coal reserves, and the government has guaranteed a 17% return, which is fixed, and it's attractive. If we look at solar energy, and I apologize, I think in the beginning of the slide there was a reference to hydel, but what it should have been is solar. We are blessed with good sunshine in Pakistan, and again, if you look at the solar indices, the irradiation, Pakistan ranks as one of the top in terms of irradiation. But despite that, we have not harnessed this solar energy and converted it into power. And with the costs of solar energy coming down, I believe that this is an area again which can be a good place for investment in Pakistan, which is energy hungry and for the region. Again, there's widespread availability of land, and one can develop solar energy with the assistance of the government and the framework of the IPP, independent power policy. Now touching upon another area, which is your agriculture and food business and sector in Pakistan. Pakistani firms have taken advantage of the fact that consumerism is booming, and people like engro, which is traditionally been a fertilizer, and company has gone into value addition. And just to give you an example of how easy it has been to penetrate the market, I'll just mention, Pakistan is ranked 17th worldwide in terms of farm output. And our farm yields, as Mr. Javed Barki also mentioned, are far below the international standards. There is a tremendous gap in the yields, and there's a huge potential in being able to use drip irrigation and modern agricultural technology to try to develop yields which can again serve as the food basket. And our land is very fertile. For example, if you look at our ability to produce milk, we are producing milk of about 1.29 tons per animal, which is 86% below what they're able to do in the US. In addition to this, I think, if you look at what's happening in Pakistan, recently the Middle East has been going out and acquiring tracts of land to try to make sure that they're able to ensure food security for the Middle East. Now, there is tremendous potential over there, both for vertical integration as well as horizontal integration. And again, your investments are protected. Any money that you bring into the country, you can repatriate your profits in US dollars back out to the original source. Pakistan's seen a spurt in consumerism Lever Brothers, for example, is a company that's now been there for over 50 years. And I was talking to the chief executive of Lever Brothers. They've commented that they've made more profit in the last 5 years than they've made in the last 60 years in Pakistan. There has been a tremendous spurt of growth. And what you see is limitless potential of investment in this sector, particularly in branding. And just to show you how how easy it has been to enter this market, Engro recently entered into this as Engro Foods and was able to capture. They entered in 2007 and was able to capture 50% of the market, the UHT milk market, in a matter of 5 years by coming out with branded products. And I think the overall profitability of companies in this sector has been between 26 to 28% returns. So, just to give you an idea, for example, the milk and the meat and the poultry business, the branded business only represents 8% of the overall volume. This just tells you a little bit of what I've said earlier. The Pakistan meat industry, for example, the branded meat industry is only 5% of the total volume of the unbranded meat market. So there's tremendous potential for people to come in, establish their brands, and charge value for what they deliver. In addition to this, there are opportunities to set up in Pakistan and export from Pakistan. And I think with the burgeoning kind of middle class in Pakistan, we hope that with consumerism, with branding, one will be able to achieve the kind of returns that typically you wouldn't within the unbranded market. I think if we look at the Pakistan population, there's a lot of opportunity to try to amalgamate a fragmented industry. And that applies across the board in all of the food products. We've just given you an example of what's available in the milk product side. And there's a lot of small companies which one can go and acquire, amalgamate, and bring economies of scale. I'll just touch upon a little bit about mining. I think Ghana, for example, has 3.7% of the overall gold reserves in the world, or the gold traded. But this is probably about half the size of Ricochet, where we've got copper, gold, we've got other minerals and metals which are rare metals. And recently the Barrick Gold has been going and doing, some of the statistics that we've got over here is available from Barrick Gold. And this is all along the Tetian belt. So this is right now at a very nascent stage. And it's all starting to get developed. It's going to take a little bit of time, but there's another opportunity, as I said, in this area. Real estate is the last area that I'm going to touch before which I conclude. But primarily, there is a diaspora taking place into urban cities. And there is a tremendous potential. Right now, there is no debt market for mortgages. And I think there is that potential of developing real estate. I'll just give you an example from my own experience. In the 1970s, there was the tallest building in Pakistan was the Habib Bank Tower. And subsequent to that, after 30 years, they made the MCB Tower, which then became the largest building in Pakistan. In the last 2 to 3 years, that record has been broken about 2 or 3 times, with developments taking place across the country. And not just, the developments taking place not just in terms of height, but also in terms of the technology being used to develop buildings and construct buildings. With that, I'd just like to conclude, one of the issues that constantly plagues Pakistan is this issue of corruption. And as an entrepreneur, I'd just like to tell you, I've been doing business in Pakistan for 20 years now. And we've done some of the most significant transactions emanating out of Pakistan at BMA Capital. And I've never had to confront the issue of having to pay anybody anything. Wherever we've competed, we've tried to compete in a manner where if there is a flaw in the process, we've brought it to the knowledge of people within government, and there are good people within government, and they have made all endeavors to make sure that proper procedures are followed and awards are made. Now with an active judiciary in Pakistan, it's become even more difficult to try to bow down to corruption, and Transparency International is another area which kind of assists us whenever we do have problems. So I'm quite encouraged, and I welcome all of you to Pakistan. I have one other representative, Mr. Fawaz Biryani. If you could just stand up, he's also joined me from our company. He's the Chief Commercial Officer. I just wanted to identify him, so if anybody wants to meet and discuss things later on, more than happy to assist you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Salim Ghauri to talk about the IT industry, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here. Listening to Moazzam, before that, Shahid Barki Saab. I get more excited when we talk about Pakistan and Pakistan's future. Barki Saab created 3 scenarios. I subscribe to the 3rd scenario. I'm the product of the 3rd scenario. 16 years ago, I was living in Australia as an IT professional. Worked there for 8 years, very successful IT consultant. And wanted to create my own business. Tried many things in Australia, but was not able to build business at all. Before that, I was in Saudi Arabia for 8 years. Again, I'm an entrepreneur by birth. I have something going on with me if I don't do things. Not a guy who takes a job. Try things. So tried my hand on businesses in Middle East and in Australia for a long time. And I realized in Australia when I was there, at that time population of Australia was 18 million people. And I realized for somebody to really do well needs a bigger audience, a bigger field, a place you can really do well. And then I suddenly decided to move back to my home country, Pakistan. My colleagues, my friends couldn't understand why somebody doing so well will move out to a country 95, which has got political issues. Even then there were political issues. Even then there was no September 11 yet, but still there were political issues. But being what I am, decided to go back to Pakistan and establish a technology organization called NetSol Technologies. Looking back, I still am surprised how I took the decision and why I was in Pakistan and why I'm in Lahore and why I'm standing here today. I believe that was the best decision of my life. It's an amazing country. I'll share with you some statistic, place to work. And it's all about people. I believe with all the difficulties we have seen in the country for the last 10 years, and Barki Saab raised all those issues, still that is a resilient nation. This nation survives all the time. It's amazing. People have given up hope many times. The country will collapse, the economy will collapse, and it just keeps going. And how does it do that? Because I am a layman, I'm not an economist. But I go around the cities and towns, look at people, how vibrant they are, how they will keep on trying to earn a living. Basically, Pakistanis are entrepreneurs by birth. They are entrepreneurs. They will do things to earn money. It is not documented. It is not with the government state bank. They would realize how much money moves around in the economy at the lower level. But it does. The economy does move. The economy does go around. People do live their life. That's Pakistan. So I am a positive person by birth, by personality. In 16 years of my stay in Pakistan, seen a lot of difficulties. .com crash came in, and we lost a lot of business. But always had this thought and belief that, where we are in Pakistan, we'll do well. Let me share with you some of the statistics. That's me, but I'll move on. Pakistan, a country with 180 million people. Now that's a lot of people to cater for. Doesn't matter what you sell. Doesn't matter what you offer. Somebody will buy it. 180 million people to buy. Excited? Emerging middle class? They're always looking for something new to buy. And that's Pakistan I'm talking about. The most of it is the youth. 25%, under 25 years old, 63% are under 25 years old. Now that is tremendous potential for any country to have. In the next 20 years, countries with declining population will face the difficulty. Whereas countries like Pakistan will, with the resource pool of the world. Now, of course, it's a challenge to use that resource pool. Use it wisely, and you have the power. Don't use it wisely, don't look after them, and of course there's a problem. The Pakistan I face, the Pakistan I deal with, the Pakistanis I work with are very smart guys. We employ 1,300 people, most of them around 26, 22 years old, for the best schools. And they are the force of the future. Every year we're getting more youths coming into the workforce. And of course, what Brakisab said was very interesting, female. We have got 30% of our workforce is female staff. They are very intelligent, very keen to work. Parents are allowing. It's interesting, the society, people don't realize Pakistan society has moved on. Girls come out and work. Some of them the leaders in a company. Some of them will lead teams to China and to Malaysia, to Australia for 4 or 5 months, and they're the leaders. Young girls at the age of 23 leading a team of 10 boys to deliver a very, a big assignment. They lead. So female is a key provider of services today in Pakistan, and they are growing. And we do understand the importance of how we can really provide them a forum, a platform, so they can do better. Pakistan does produce good graduates. Schooling is good. 18 million people speak English. That's a lot of people. A lot of people can be used to generate a lot of services. I mean, I have my own theory about Pakistan economy, and people disagree. I believe Pakistan is a services country. Country has tremendous potential to provide services around the world. Take example of my industry, technology, IT. We are able to service the world and our customers around the world with all the power shortages, no gas, no power, we were still able to deliver our services. We were able to create our own power, few generators, 24 hours a day, we're working. Haven't lost a single day of work in our industry. For the last 5 years, power going out, blackouts, we were still working and we're delivering. Yes, we don't care. Political issues, we don't care. What's happening into the Karachi, we don't care, because we can deliver our software with the touch of a button. Press the button, I'm delivering a few $1 million worth of software to customers around the world. We continue to do business. Customers like it. Customers are upset and concerned when things were difficult in 2009. There was a lot of terrorism in Pakistan in 2009. I remember whenever I went, first question would be, are you safe? Well, I smile and say, oh yes, we are safe. Can you deliver? Oh yes, we can deliver. Oh yes, we can do. And we did. We delivered our commitments, delivered our software, delivered our services to the world, and now they don't even ask anymore. Doesn't matter. Now it's all about, what can I get my system? It's beautiful, I love it. For the last 5 years, we faced it. Now we're in the time where people just don't care about what's happening around them. They just want to know when they will get their software. So Pakistan, with that kind of resources, schools, now schools are maturing up. We have got schools for the last 25 years. Of course, schools takes decades and 100 years to mature, but we are on a fast track. We have some very good schools. Our IT industry is very young. Our schools of IT are 25, 30 years old, but it's amazing what they have done in a short period of time. They produce some very smart graduates, credible. I work with them, they are out, very creative, amazingly intelligent people I work with. Sometimes I'm just shocked what they can do. I'll talk about what we developed in a minute. Just slides, I mean, I'm not comparing with it, I'm just giving you an idea why it was so easy for us to do business in Pakistan. It's amazing how easy it is to establish a new company and be able to start your business, be able to export, able to send you money back as a dividend. We did all that, and that's what Pakistan is today. I mean, Pakistan gets this stigma of all the things happening around it, but few people realize it's a country which is easy to do business. And I do agree with Moazzam, and it's amazing. I would have used the same technology. We haven't paid a single penny to anybody in the last 16 years to do our business. Simple rule. You pay bribes when you go out of the way. You pay bribes when you want to do something, you want to fast track things. Don't fast track. We don't need to fast track. We plan well. We plan ahead. I don't have new power supply to my office. We know it takes a year, we'll plan for a year. We make sure we don't pay a single price. We have not paid a single penny in the last 16 years, and we do a lot of business, gentlemen, ladies. So there is no, see, this stigma of bribery corruption is there, of course it is there. But most of them are people who are trying to fast track, or cut corners, or trying to get something which they don't deserve. That's when you pay bribes. But we have not paid bribes, and we don't believe, we intend to pay any bribes in the future at all. Let's move on. Pakistan industry, we'll talk about that. It's a very vibrant industry. It is amazing what's happening. Even my friend from Governor State Bank will not realize how big it is. Because the numbers coming out of state banks on export of IIT is only about $250 million, not the right number. Those numbers to state bank comes through the companies like NetSol, which register themselves as export-oriented companies. But we have got 1,500 companies working today. I know because I'm in the industry for that long. Each company employ over 100 people. Our export, by my numbers, and the way we charge, and the way we pay salaries, and we maintain our business, I believe we are doing over $1.5 billion of export today. So the remittances we see of $12 billion, it's not all diaspora paying, it's our earning by people who are working in Pakistan also, but most of it comes through remittances. And that's what we have to fill the gap. That's a big number of money coming into Pakistan in the economy from IT services. Two types of business we're doing. We have 1,500 companies working as companies. Then we have a cottage industry, as Barkisab mentioned, working from home, downloading work on the website and delivering it on the net back and earning about $4,000 to $5,000 per month. That's a lot of money for a young guy who comes out of schools developing apps, mobile apps and Facebook apps or whatever. I believe my number is over 100,000 kids are working now in that cottage industry because we try to keep tab because we lose people. Our attrition has been high recently simply because we said, what's happening? Where are these people going? And some of them sitting home and working from home, males and females. Others were going into new companies which came out in the last 3 years. Amazing companies came out. And I find out what these companies are doing. Most of them are export from US and other places. These companies are doing extremely well in Pakistan. Pakistan art industry is growing. Pakistan has a quality standard. Companies are very focused on the quality development. We have CMM level 5, NetSol is a CMM level 5 company, and we have many other companies have made sure they get quality accreditation so they can compete with the world. So we do have quality companies at the moment in Pakistan which are doing tremendous jobs. Some of them are doing amazing jobs. They are winning prizes around the world. They are developing applications which are recognized as a global application. So Pakistan industry, though we are, compared to India, which has done extremely well, but I think it's an unfair comparison at all. We are a different industry. We are a different country. We are different people altogether. We have our niche and we have our expertise. Pakistan is, in fact, did something very good in the last 20 years. They focused on product development compared to outsourcing. We couldn't compete with India because India had a bigger number of people to outsource. We said, all right, what do we do? How can we go and get our chunk of the business? And what we did was create our own niche and expertise and our own products. And that has done well for Pakistan. We have got companies with their products going around the world today, and they are really bringing a revenue which Pakistan needs. I'll just move on. Pakistani rupee is much lower to compare to other currencies in Asia. That gives a big edge. For every dollar I bring in, I would get more rupees. That does really help Pakistani IT industry. We pay better. We pay well to our IT experts. And we have more leverage to invest back into our business to grow. English is good. Young guys, naturally they speak good English. Languages at the norm in home. Compared to other region, our attrition is very low. NetSol is the largest company in Pakistan today, and we are the prime target to be picked up. Anybody coming in will go after NetSol to hire people. But we do have a percentage attrition. We keep an eye on that. And it is low compared to the global standard. We keep tracking on how we lose people, what number of people we have lost, and we have a very low attrition because we produce a lot of new graduates. And then companies like NetSol do their own training also. So we do. We still have a lot of room for companies to come in and join and get the benefit of the low quality, the low cost and high quality resource pool available in Pakistan. And of course, ethics of work. Well, I'm the example of delivery. We have delivered some very complex solutions over the last 15 years. Solutions about $10 million being delivered to customers in China and Australia and everywhere in the world. And customers are very happy. I remember in China about 2 years ago sitting with the Chinese bank's chairman having a dinner, and it was Ramadan, month of Ramadan in China, and we have a team of 10 young people working there in the bank. And the Chinese chairman said to me, Mr. Ghauri, I'm really surprised of the people you have got. I said, how you are surprised, Mr. Chairman? What have they done? He said, it's amazing. These guys, young guys, come to office every day in the morning. They don't eat and drink anything at all whole day. And still they work, they laugh, they smile, and they have energy. By evening they will eat something, and they're still going to work until very late and go back, and next day come back again. I haven't seen people like these. They are very happy. You are very lucky, Mr. Ghauri, to have people like that. I said, that is true, Mr. Chairman. We are very lucky. We have the people who have the will, ethics, and work quality too. These guys are amazing. I really cannot say better than that. Any success we have seen in NetSol is because of the people we are able to employ in the company. Let me talk about my company. We are 16 years in making, very young by global standard. Still, we have seen a lot of difficulty when we came in. September 11 came in. We had 2-3 difficult years after .com crash. We had a lot of services contract in the world. We lost all those. The fact is, we survived. We survived, and we are now thriving. 16 years, we have come out of the incubation. We are a very mature organization today. We are the only company in Pakistan to have CMM level 5. We have a global clientele. We have customers around the world now today. Over 1,300 people employed today. We have got offices around the world today. We are a truly global enterprise, and very proud of that, to be from Lahore in Pakistan. And it's tell you what, over the years, and since September 11, there was so much pressure for us to move our facility to different countries, Philippines, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, you name it. We said, no, we are not doing no such thing at all. We will stay where we are, and we'll face, because we will get the benefit of the country of Pakistan. And I'm so glad. And our directors on the board agreed today, and we're happy that we stayed in Pakistan. Because today we are getting the benefit of the company we created, and we are the largest company of Pakistan today. Just a map to tell you where we are. We have a big facility in San Francisco. In London, out of London, we have a development facility. In Bangkok, we have a big business center. In Beijing, we are now becoming a big center here. We have got, in China, we have got 90% of the lease and finance market using our software. That's Chinese market. Each of them paying $2 to $4 million to use our software. That is what I believe is the success of our company. Though in numbers revenue, we are not done big yet, but we just, I believe, are in a time to really exponentially grow into the revenue, because now we have the customers, we have the product, and we have the quality processes laid down, and we have got people with experience. Just move on. We are the highest exporter of Pakistan for the last 7 years. State Bank gives us the number. We export the highest revenue. We are going to do $40 million this year. It's a very small number, but it's just the beginning. We took our time to mature. Why it's so small number? Because we focus on developing a product. Product development takes a long time, especially when you're developing a financial ERP solution. A solution which is, looks after the lending business. That is complex. Each application is worth about $3 million per copy per license. Now that takes time to get maturity, and that takes time to get the reference. But we got all that. NetSol Financial Suite is the main application we depend our bread and butter on. 16 years in making, huge application. It's a total lending life cycle, starting from generating an inquiry from a dealer who want to buy a car or finance a car or a ship or a plane. A credit approval cycle, we have a very smart credit engine which does credit approval, automated credit engine. And then of course, we maintain a contract of a borrower and lender. It's a huge contract, it's complex, and we have a number cruncher software at the back office which is like that. We know of many awards, but I will move on. Customers, we have one of the finest customer base in the world today. Captive industry is our customer today. Toyota Leasing, Mercedes-Benz Finance, Volvo, Hyundai, Fiat, Nissan. These are the customers who use our software to manage their captive finance around the world. Just give you an example. Look at Mercedes-Benz Finance based in Singapore. They are my first customer ever from Singapore. They have got, the full region is now managed by software from NetSol. 10 countries of Mercedes-Benz Finance are running their captive finance portfolio of billions of dollars developed, designed by software house in Pakistan. And now that's the key to creativity and ability to design complex software in Pakistan. We have big names as customer. Now we're moving out of captive finance, we're going to the banking industry. Banks are now our next customer. We are moving from just car lending to lending. That's our big goal. We have got our new software ready. It's a new generation software which is ready now. And it's going to hit the market by December this year, and we will be really going after the bigger market. Market is growing. Just quickly about what we sell is, most of the companies, our customers are using in-house developed leasing software. Difference between banking software and lease financing was that banking software was developed by many companies around the world. Big companies are selling banking software. Very few jumped into developing into lease and finance. It was a small industry about 30 years ago. Most companies, the customers will have their in-house developer to do the business, to run the software. Now, today, that software is getting old. North America, in Europe, all the countries are visited a customer. They're using a legacy system with green screen. They use it because it's reliable. It's a number cruncher, so they don't want to change it. But they have no choice but to replace the software in the next 5 years. And this is where we are very excited. We believe we have a huge market waiting to replace a system in North America, in Europe, in the next 5 years. We're already getting the signs where we're being called in to look at their system and see if that can be replaced. Of course, it can be replaced. So we are looking forward to a very exciting next 5 years for NetSol itself. But let me talk about Pakistan. Let me summarize and close my submission here.
Mr. Ghauri, I'd like to, in the interest of time...
1 minute. 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Quickly, let me do the conclusion. Thank you very much for giving me the time. But conclusion is important. This country is ripe, is excited. It is there to be taken. As Moazzam said, this is full of gold. They're not going in terms of metal, but people. Come and invest. Use what we have done. We have really benefited, and we are happy that we're in Pakistan. God bless you all. Thank you very much for listening to me.
It's sometimes difficult to rein in enthusiasm, but on the back of true story. So before we break for tea, I'll open it up for about 5 minutes for quick questions for the two gentlemen, either on the IT industry or the overall opportunity map that Mr. Moazzam showed us. And we'll break for tea after that. Yes, sir. You can speak in the mic next to you, on your table. Yeah. We'll take quick questions and hope you summarize the question as well. Thank you.
With the facilitator, thank you very much. Well, with your observation, your presentation perspective with the best of keynote speaker. Well, I'm quite happy to know that you are going to be not intimidated by that, in the sense of, in terms of morality, in terms of what Pakistan would do in the reverse engineering. Though lack of approach and strategy-wise, but the reverse engineering is fundamental. And the question is that, your observation of those 4 industries, which is quite surprising, because utility is not within our means. Because for external parties, not very much for utility. And with regard to food, when you're talking about branding situation, which is the old boys are doing it, in other words, the Nestle, Liver Brothers and whatever, Unilever and so on. So it's not within our purview. Now, the question is that when you talk about the other thing, when you are surprisingly, because just last week, your Prime Minister was offering Malaysia for industrial park. And I don't know which one will it be, but your colleague just mentioned that you have about 11 industrial parks. The SEZ, we do not know very much about the SEZ. Now, the SEZ, and you just not mention, for example, the commercial side, in terms of financial. Although there's no opportunity in financial, there's no opportunity in the others. I think that what you're covering very much is on the brick and mortar industry, and which Pakistan should forego that, because why? In the interest of Pakistan for a longer term, it will be on a new emerging technology rather than the old technology or the old, brick and mortar economy. So my question here, besides also with regard to that, you mentioned about the ICT, but you didn't mention about the call center.
I think we'll talk about that. I think, Moazzam, if you can briefly address that, that'd be great. This is
I'm sorry I didn't get an introduction to you, but look, I think Pakistan has to concentrate on areas where it has strategic advantage. And I think you mentioned banking. We have tremendous resource, human resource in banking. We have, but coming back to what I think your question was, we need to concentrate on business and industry which can give us a competitive advantage in the global environment. I think our agricultural base is a very strong base. We have one of the largest irrigation projects in Pakistan. And I think we've got to concentrate in those areas where we can actually generate food and grow in the traditional areas. Some of the challenges that we have of going into some of the industries that you mentioned, new technologies, is clearly education. And I think much as we've made efforts both on the public sector and private sector in trying to achieve a high level of education, I think there's still a desire in that area.
Thanks, Moazzam. I think that covers that. I'm sorry I'm cutting people off, but we want to be conscious of time.
A quick, if you allow me to answer the call center, I think your question was, this is what I said, we are a different industry altogether, and Pakistanis didn't want to compete with better call centers in India and Philippines and other places. So focus was never into BPOs or call centers, and focus was developing products of their own, and this is exactly why we were out of that business and done well. I believe it was a good decision.
We'll take one more question before the equity. Gentleman in the front, please.
I'd like to ask Malik, can you talk a bit about the private equity and venture capital landscape in Pakistan?
The private equity is an area which we also take a great interest in. And we initiated one of the first private equity funds that was launched with our private equity partners abroad in about 5 years ago. Private equity is a space which is actually picking up quite a bit, both from a perspective of people who are looking to invest within the country, i.e. LPs who are based in Pakistan and investing in Pakistan. And private equity capital is also something which is seeking investments in Pakistan, and the industry is evolving to try to receive that private equity capital, because private equity demands a certain level of standard that the company maintains in terms of their accounts, in terms of their processes. So we're noticing, we're looking at prospective private equity opportunities within the country. There are large transactions that have taken place. KESC is one of the largest distribution companies in Pakistan. It's an electric supply corporation based out of the largest city in Karachi, which has a population of about 16 million people. Abraj Capital has invested its private equity capital in that company, and for the first time this year has turned profitable after I think 5 or 6 years of its investment. So there is a lot of private equity appetite. There is companies who invested in airlines and started airlines in Pakistan through private equity. And I think the appetite for private equity is increasing. People are also finding some of the large DFIs who are now starting to talk to us with regard to investing some of their capital into Pakistan. So it's a space which has been slow to take off, but because of some of the regulatory issues pertaining to within Pakistan. But I think this is an industry which we hope to be able to contribute to and take a part in, and we're excited about it.
I think with that we'll take a break for tea. I'd like you to remember to come back. We've got a very exciting 2 presentations around the food industry and Pakistan's booming pharma industry. Sorry? Yeah, so we'll be back in about 20 minutes, so if you could have some tea which is outside on the left and be back for that, I'll appreciate that. Thank you very much.